This is crazy. This is crazy. This is crazy.
Today is June 8th. This is the 21st episode of Talk Story. We are here live from South Beach at First Shop, doing this whole thing again. This is 5 months and running. I can't believe we made it this far.
Weekly. We're
Yeah.
doing it weekly.
Yeah, we
I mean, that's not easy. Like, there's a lot going on.
We did one vacation week.
Right. Oh, there we did.
Yeah, but that was unforeseen circumstances.
Actually, we were just playing hot chick. We wanted to see if you guys really missed us.
You guys are back. Knew it'd happen. We still
But
have
yeah,
all their t-shirts.
21 episodes. I mean, it's week to week, and more than anything else, I know when we originally started, we had talked about it just being fun. You know, and the only reason why we're going to keep going is if it was fun, and more so, we've been getting some pretty decent feedback of people that say, hey, I feel like I'm kind of there with you, talking, and being part of the conversation and the topics are going on. So as long as you guys are still digging it, and as long as the sake is flowing, I guess...
Things are good.
I guess we'll keep going.
Ben Gravy liked the YouTube or subscribed to the YouTube account this week, so that was a kind of
Ben, welcome to the
Ben.
team, buddy.
Yeah, so he'll be following along.
If you need some labels for your boards, holler at us. We'll get you.
And maybe when he comes down for a swell next winter,
Absolutely.
Get him on the show or something.
Let's finish the intro.
Oh,
We
yeah,
got you
sorry.
into it. My name is Christian de la Iglesia from First Surf Shop as well as Division Wynwood, and our special guest this week is
Drum roll, please.
Annie's dog Elmo. You can't see down here, but it's great. He's walking around
Should
everywhere.
I
I'm just
grab
kidding.
him?
Very furry,
Should I grab
very
him?
adorable. Absolutely.
Grab him, pick him up here. But our
This will be
special
the
guest.
this will be the first.
Is this the first
non-human
animal?
Guest.
Yes. Oh, there he is. He's kind of been seen around the world on Instagram already. By the way, it's Annie Vazquez, also known as the Fashion Poet, and Annie the Alchemist on Instagram. Please follow her. She does some great stuff. And that's Elmo. This guy is delish. And
So yeah, welcome to the show.
okay,
Thanks.
he wants to sit.
Wants to hang. Should we get
yeah,
him a
he's
stool?
all like, no, this is cool. I mean, we really should have him parade back and forth or something.
We'll see how long.
So welcome, Annie.
Thank you.
Thanks for being here.
You know,
Happy to be on.
I mean, long time local, and she really
Born
is
and
kind
raised.
of. I know, born and raised, and she's touched into a lot of what's going on around here within the fashion scene and whatnot. And
Hey, welcome. We actually have a customer in the store.
and we don't.
And
she's
we're
out.
Sorry.
Whoops! Should have closed and locked the door.
Could have made another sale there.
Okay, you know,
That was it.
you
She
consider
looked like
and
she was in the market.
considering how slow it's been in May and June, we probably should have.
Oh,
You know what? Actually, no one can leave here tonight unless.
Caleb.
No, that's fine.
Good. Caleb's got it.
Caleb has got it.
So weekly happenings.
He wants to
Let's
go down.
get into what's going on in the neighborhood these
Well,
days.
first off, today is International
World
Ocean
Oceans
Awareness,
Day.
World
Yeah.
Oceans Day. Is it international? I guess
It's just being aware about the ocean and issues going on with the ocean and its health, yada, yada, yada. I like it. Good awareness. Every day is like that for me, though. So
Yes, I'd be more aware if there was waves.
yeah,
I'm kidding. I'm aware.
probably would be.
But
Hyper aware.
Yeah, but we're coming into the summer and it's Miami, so who are we kidding?
yeah. Other weekly happenings.
Wait, what are you supposed to do during Ocean Awareness Day?
Exactly.
That's what I was asking.
I
It's
feel
like, you know,
there
like the
should be
Donuts Day.
cleanups.
The-
What? Oh yeah,
What
yeah.
are you supposed to do for that day?
Eat donuts.
You could post on Instagram and
for ocean
post a cool
awareness.
Yeah,
picture.
you're supposed to
You're
post
supposed to
on
post
it.
a cool picture of the ocean or cleaning up something in the ocean and hashtag World Ocean Awareness Day, and you did your job.
I think that's pretty much it. That's a good start.
Or
Better than doing nothing.
you could just not save it for just a day and kind of participate in your local chapters of nonprofits that go out there and help clean our beaches and help clean our oceans and our bays and stuff like that. So whether
It was kind of a very cynical way to approach that, I feel like.
well, I'm just saying. Well, instead of just doing the Instagram post,
I
do
think Annie was
something about
calling us
it.
on that. She's like, why are you being so cynical about World Oceans Day? Yeah, it's fine. Good for them. Good for everybody. Good for the ocean.
Do you
It is
feel, just out of curiosity,
Let's hear it.
quick question.
Shoot it.
Do you feel that there's something that hasn't been done that can be done for the community here and the beach? Because I know the closest beach to me is Key Biscayne, and I will not walk on the sand without wearing flip-flops.
Because it's warm and grody. You feel like there's just
No, because there's
urinal
like
hanging out around there.
weird stuff in the sand. It's like polluted and just nobody takes care of it.
These damn crabs polluting the sand. No,
I don't know if there's a single issue. I mean, what you guys have been doing with water quality here has
Right.
been really good. So Surf Router Foundation set up a lab in First Surf Shop to do water quality testing on a weekly basis, right?
on a weekly basis. Every Thursday, they do the test, and every Friday, because it takes about 24 hours for it to incubate and kind of get all the results, and every Friday they post the results. I will tell you that all the beaches were fine for the exception of 21st Street. 21st Street was in the yellow, wasn't necessarily red. So what happens usually when the beach is yellow, we'll go ahead and test it again the next day, and then we'll get the results. It takes about 24
What
hours.
does yellow mean?
Just means there might be a higher level of bacteria in the water, and the things that we're actually testing in this situation happens to be more of like stuff that comes off of street runoff and poop, if you will.
So I think if there is anything, to go back to your original question, if there's anything the community could be doing, is maybe more awareness about those sorts of things.
The water testing's good. I didn't know you guys did that here.
Yeah, see, there we go.
No, it's
That was
really
that was a
good.
perfect,
Yeah.
That was a perfect example of stuff that I guess we need to be doing more work to do. The Surf Router Foundation worked for, I mean, really like a decade, maybe even longer to set that up. They've been
Right.
talking about it for a long time.
Right.
There's a lot of costs that are incurred. You guys are deferring them by having them set up the lab here, so.
Well, and aside from that, they've done their diligence in trying to come after local municipalities like cities and stuff like that and the government and say, hey, this is kind of important. This is something that you should probably highlight and showcase. And most of them kind of, it falls on deaf ears and it doesn't do it. So these, everybody's kind of been proactive and said, you know what, we can do it upon ourselves. And they needed a place and we're like, hey, let's be your place. And they've got the effort. And I like to say a couple times, like, we all don't have to help the same way. But as long as you help in some way, we're helping kind of move, with a cause nonetheless.
True that.
Speaking of Surf Router Foundation, the 16th?
16th, next Saturday.
Oh yeah,
It's
coming up.
International Go Surf Day. It's also known as International Go Skate Day. It could be International Go Just Push Something Day.
Yeah, just get out.
Right. So here at First Surf Shop, we'll be having free rentals all day, whether it's surfboards or paddleboards. So swing on by. We have a little event going on that starts at 4 p.m. With Surfrider. We'll have drinks and hopefully some great pulled pork tacos from one
Yes.
Bradley Wells that makes some amazing stuff.
I'll do that. And photographers.
And we have photographers that are going to be showcasing some of the work that they've done, both about the waves and the surf that we've had this last season, as well as just some of their landscape and random
they're
stuff
just-
that they
yeah.
have. So it's going to be
the whole
fun. It starts around 4 o'clock next Saturday, the 16th. It'll be International Go Surf Day. Please swing by. It'll be fun
It's 4 p.m. till when?
whenever.
Yeah.
I mean, technically it says like 9 p.m., but we all know how that works.
What else? Brandon in Bali.
That's right. One of our employees, Brandon, that was supposed to come back
not
on
coming back.
Wednesday.
Not coming back. Hey,
Get-
boss.
gives
Good
me a
news,
phone
bad
call
news.
yesterday. He's like, send me a text. Hey, when is a good time to talk? And I already kind of knew something was going on. It was like almost like that conversation that you give to your parents when you're a kid, and you're just like, hey, so can we kind of talk for a little bit? Like, what's wrong? What is it?
Where's
Where'd you
your
crash?
report card?
Right. And so he was just like, so this totally came up last minute. I'm like, okay, get to the point. Let's land the plane. And he was just like, got the job to kind of do an internship, to be a surf coach out here. You're in Bali.
That's amazing.
Right. And he's 20 years old. And this is actually the first trip that he's ever taken out of the country.
Congratulations.
Out of the
Brandon.
country, he goes to Bali. And so they're going to take care of his room and board and as far as his food and stuff like that. And at least until September, October, and you never know what happens past that. So I was like, how am I supposed to be mad at that? Like, how can any of us be mad at that? At that point, we'll figure it out. We'll carry your weight, little buddy. If you come back, you might not have a job, though. JK. No, or am I?
No,
I'm
you
really
will.
not.
You will.
I'm
You will.
We got things covered. We got you covered.
That
But
was,
anyways,
that was exciting news I
Yeah.
got this week. I
Yeah,
was
he's-
very
he's-
excited for him.
he's
Good for
super
him.
stoked. He's super stoked. But past that, we also have Swim Week. I know it's a little bit far out, but we have Swim Week in about a month or so, which is always fun in this town.
Coming up fast.
It's the largest swim show in the world.
And
so
it's
you
really
have
awesome because it happens in the middle of like dead summertime here.
right. Well, I mean, you figure glistening bodies wearing swimsuits. What better time than the middle of summer? Especially in South Beach where you infuse a little alcohol, a little water, and boom, magic.
There you go.
Magic.
It's gonna
Magic
happen
happens.
every year.
Magic happens. Yeah, we're hoping to actually do something around then. Get a little barbecue going, maybe the standard. I'll call you. And
Something.
dude, summer is for fun. And around here, it's all about locals, really, on the summer. It's like there isn't as many snowbirds or anybody else traveling as much, except for some Europeans and some South Americans. But you know, for me, it's about kind of teaming up with all of our local entities around here, bars, hotels, or whatnot, and doing stuff because there's only locals really here, and
Make your own fun.
locals need some love too. They do.
I feel like you should do something for Swim Week.
Well, you know.
I
maybe
feel like
you
I
will.
haven't heard of anything for locals during Swim Week.
Really.
I
And-
used
and you
to
would
do,
know.
yeah, because I used to do an event for locals, but
What event was that?
Escape Miami?
Ah, that's right. That was a good event.
Yes.
Not this year, I'm guessing.
Nope.
I mean, what's changed within the whole swim? Because I know that within the last couple
Well,
years,
Mercedes-Benz left.
right,
That was a big one.
it was huge.
Yeah, that was a huge hit. And then
Why did they leave? Do you know a little bit of the in
I
workings
feel like
on
they
the
were
back end?
restructuring. I feel like it was just different things going on. I feel like New York is all. It's no longer Mercedes-Benz New York either. It's New York Fashion Week.
Right.
It's its own entity. So
Fashion Week or Swim Week?
Fashion Week. Well, Mercedes-Benz used to be the one that did all the fashion weeks,
Got it.
and they pulled back. So
Does it hurt the actual
I feel like it's
timing of it all? Like, does it still go on? Is it still fun? Irregardless.
irregardless.
Hey, when you're in Miami, use Miami terms.
I feel like it's changed a lot since they left. I feel like they brought in a lot of structure, and we had a hub for it.
Right.
And then after that, you know, different people started doing things, and it was just spaced out. I feel like having a hub is always important.
Right.
It'd be like Art Basel leaving and still having Art Week. You'd be like, oh.
Right. Everyone's just doing the satellite
Yeah.
things, which happens. Right. Everyone's got their satellite things, but they're still the center of the Art Basel. And I agree. I've
I
heard
feel like that
that.
happened with Miami Music Week too.
Right. And in one
It's
sense, it
all
kind of happens,
changing.
right?
It's all
Everybody wants to
changing.
kind of get into it, and they're like, well, why do it on that platform when I know people and I can do it on this platform?
Yeah.
And I noticed that about Swim, that exactly that. It was like there was the convention center, that's kind of where the central hub was
where the
for
shopping.
Swim. And then that was like where the business happened. It's where everyone kind of came to. And then all of a sudden now you have all the Cabana, you have all those different places all over the place. And sometimes it's a challenge though, as a buyer, if you're flying into a place, you kind of want it somewhat centralized. Makes it a little bit easier to kind of see things versus like, all right, well, I kind of want to see these guys. I want to see these guys. And you have to plan your day accordingly. You know, I've heard that from buying and other shows and stuff like that. Like New York is a great place for shows, but like in the
It's
beginning-
also spaced out now too.
right, where they have like so sometimes they have a couple different shows happening at the same time of the year, and they almost force a buyer to be like, am I going to go to this show or am I going to go to this show? Am I going to go to this show? Down here we don't have that problem as much, but I know in New York they have that challenge in January specifically with a couple of shows that I kind of go with streetwear and whatnot. So.
It's interesting that you're saying it from a buyer perspective because I've always done like as a journalist perspective or
Right.
now as a blogger. So, but it's the same thing.
Right.
It's too spread out and things are happening simultaneously and you can't.
But you have to pay favorites. You have to be like, well, this and that. And then as a blogger, I mean, you guys are the rock stars right now. I mean, you really are. Like, I've noticed the last couple of years when companies are like, how do we approach this, this, and that? I'm like, find a blogger. Because right now, those guys are the deciding factor.
yeah.
You guys are telling people exactly what's cool and what's not cool. It's like the more real, gritty, blue-collar type of, I guess, suggestions.
I feel
or,
like it's organic.
right.
I feel like our opinions are real, and I mean, at least mine. I wouldn't partner up with a company unless I believed in it.
Right.
And I have been called out in certain situations where it was a company that I did love, but I wasn't aware of certain things, such as like animal testing, for
Right.
example.
Can't know
man.
everything.
You can't know everything,
Yeah, it's kinda sucks
but
when someone
people
calls
know
you
that
on
I
it.
have a dog, so they're like, how are you going to partner with that beauty brand
Right.
when you have a dog and you're all about...
And how do you feel about that? Like, do you feel that
No,
a
I
blogger
was-
needs to do some diligence in advance and say, well, if this is how I'm going to make my money, if this is how I'm going to do things, that maybe I should be a little bit more informative on the brands that I...
Absolutely, but I feel like that's the great thing about being a blogger and connecting with your community is that you guys share ideas and you learn from each other. So
By the way, Elmo
you're
just
really
ran back
running
over here really quickly, which makes me think there's either urine or shit somewhere.
Yeah. Something
'Cause I know that walk. It was that run back like,
He, like,
"Whoop, I
did
am
something."
light.
Yes.
I am light. I'm excited right now.
Things
Things
are
are great.
good.
And I'm just like, oh, I'm
Friday
going to find
night,
that.
feeling
Oh,
light.
I'm going to find
Yeah.
that somewhere. Good thing I don't have any clothes on the floor. All good.
He's like hiding under you.
So I think that was weekly happenings. We
Right.
got all the way to swim week. We got some opinions on what's happening with swim week, and I think really just locals, right? Just we can make our own fun.
I think the whole summer.
I feel
for
like
the most part, it's about
exactly we
locals.
can make our own fun, and I feel like you
Right.
should do something for swim week.
Noted.
And if you guys think that they should, DM, message, email.
She's good.
yeah. Oh yeah.
She's done this.
Actually, Caleb told me before. He's like, "Oh yeah, tell everybody your email address. It's ThankYouSurfing@gmail.com. If you have ideas and you want us to do stuff, just like Andy said,
Hit us up.
yeah, or come to the shop and tell Chris."
I've got a piece of paper somewhere around here. We can just write things down. I
Or
like
if you
writing.
see Caleb riding around in his truck or his bike, he's got a big beard, a lot of hair. It's hard to miss. Tell him. Or Annie.
Yeah, DM
She's
her.
out.
Yeah, you
about-
can DM me.
She's
She'll
doing a
pass it
great
on.
job of producing us right
Coconut
now.
wireless.
Easy. Yeah, I'm like,
Dropping the plugs and
I was like,
everything.
finally, we picked up an AV guy. Now we got a producer.
I'm not serious. Finally, putting this thing together.
Brad, I just want to be talent, dude. I just want to come here. I want to show up.
With
I don't
your
even want to run the
rider.
store anymore. I just want to like, hey, is my mic ready? Is this thing?
Yeah.
Is this my mic?
Yeah,
Dude,
where
this
is
isn't my
dress-
mic?
Where's
You
my
know?
dressing room?
Give me a chance to be a diva. Seriously.
Working on it. Working on it. Report and forecast. I think that's the next thing. Report is there's been no waves. We've had really good rainbows this week, actually.
That's
I.e., there's been a lot of rain.
beautiful.
Yeah, we've had some really awesome thunderstorms coming through. We got out of our drought situation. Great. Now they can turn off the faucet. We don't really need any more
So now you're
water.
creating drought in my register.
Yeah. So hopefully we'll see more normal pattern of weather. We have in the forecast possibility for something to come up through the Western Caribbean up into the Gulf, similar to the last storm, maybe making some wind swell and next weekend. Long shot, not really worth looking at.
See, usually I'm the negative Nelly in the situation. I'm kind of like a positive Polly right now. Like
yeah,
I'm just
you
like,
were excited about
oh
that.
my God,
one.
we got a little. I've been promoting it to a couple people. Maybe it's like the hype train, or as a retail guy, you're like, this is how I maybe drive a little sales. I'm like, dude, for sure there'll be waves. Come on now.
Buy some wine.
You know?
You're gonna need 2 bars. Definitely buy. I need your $4.
Yes. Especially if you're using a credit card. $4 minimum.
But the Pacific Ocean looking good.
I know, lightening up.
Yeah, tons and tons of swell coming.
Seems like there's
for
like
Central
three
America.
storms that potentially can kind of just
right
three
in a
systems.
row. Yeah,
Right.
it's like pretty much a swell every 5 days, and they're overlapping. So a
And
lot
those
of
guys
swell.
have been hurting for surf throughout
Yeah.
throughout winter.
Yeah. Oh well, California for sure.
Right.
But all of Central America.
Ah, they've been fine.
Really good. They went through kind of the transition period where they're getting the summertime, wintertime thing changed.
Right.
And so they
With a
started
lot more rain.
more rain, onshore wind for a little bit
Right,
during
which
the last
creates a
few
lot of
weeks.
local, right. Mhm. More
Also, some
crocodiles.
tropical activity in the vicinity, changing weather forecast. Nicaragua political situation worse than the last few episodes. I feel like this is a story that doesn't really have a shining light at the end of the tunnel.
For
quite
the
yet.
exception, if you happen to fly in and you finagle and find your way out of the central part of Managua, coastline is fine. Everything's going on. But we have
Yeah.
friends that are on the coastline, all the way from Chancletas up north down to Colorado's down south. Where they're saying,
Chancletas is a real place?
yeah, Hotel Chancletas.
Oh,
well, it's not like a real township. It's
I
Hotel
had heard
Chancletas.
about it, but I thought it was.
No, you're like, man, those guys are
Like
surfers
Wonka's
are so
like
funny.
Wonka's Factory.
Like
the
hotel
place with the
hotel
Oompa
flip flops. What?
The
You're
place
like,
with the Oompa Loompas. Yeah, right next door.
but yeah, so I hear coastline, things are fine. Things
Yeah.
are great. It's just a matter of getting there from the central area because the central area is where all the
Yeah, things are
crap's
getting a
going
little
down
raw.
and it's kind of weird. So,
So
it's a little
not.
tough.
It's not safe to go there.
I
little
would say
challenging.
It was relatively safe, becoming less safe as time goes on.
There's a little political
It's
unrest
crazy.
between the people of Nicaragua and the government of Nicaragua, and they're not seeing eye to eye. And you have someone that's a little bit more of a strong arm kind of government, and those guys have dealt with their stuff for years with the Sandinistas and stuff like that. So they've seen their fair share of things being crappy, and it got well for a great time and allowed for a lot of Western influence to come in regards to capitalism and an opportunity for anybody that wants to be an expat to go down there, buy
Right.
property, kind of live well and be off the grid. And still that's still possible, and it's probably even cheaper now. But it's just a
getting
little
in and
sketchy
out.
right now. And I have faith that I think things will eventually, and God willing, I hope it
Yeah.
does without much bloodshed and whatnot, because God, that sucks. But trips to Costa Rica could probably get more expensive now. Because of
there's
it.
definitely going to be more people going. I mean,
To other places that they would
Yeah.
normally go to Nicaragua.
there's a lot of tourism into that country, and that's going to start to kind of dry out the further we
But
get
do
into
some
this
homework.
mess.
Be brave. Be bold. You know, if Nicaragua looks like it can kind of make happen, you know, we all live off of tourist dollars in some way or another. In order for those guys to continue to survive, they need you to cruise down
And it's
surf
changing
and have
like
fun.
day to day, week to
Right.
week. So like find out the latest from wherever you're going. And,
Absolutely.
And if you're talking to someone who's been in country for a long time, I think that's probably a little bit more reputable, or someone who lives there permanently. But yeah, lots of
So,
swell. And then,
Can you start doing political forecasting for us then? For,
well, I mean, anytime I go on
So
a
it
trip
looks like
anywhere,
this
that is
guy's
part of
going
it.
to-
That is, I mean, it's a big part of it. You can't be ignorant of the fact that when you travel, you are going to be someplace else.
And sometimes it's hard when you travel from a place that's like a first world. You kind of get sometimes, you know, lost in your own kind of ignorance. Yeah,
'cause you're on
Where
vacation.
right, and you're just like,
Vacation mode and like travel mode aren't the same thing.
right, because you're pounding those rum and cokes on the plane, and then you get off and you're thinking like, everything should be fine. I'm gonna go to my beach villa, and I'm gonna go and pound some more rum and cokes. I'm gonna surf in the morning. It's all gonna be good, and everyone's gonna be fine. Everyone's gonna look after me, and that sometimes isn't the case when you go to other places where you have to kind of be a little bit more on your guard and on your toes and stuff like
Is
that.
it safe for Americans to go?
I felt completely safe in the times that I've been. I've been from 2009 till I went a couple years ago. So like. in the
So when
recent history,
when there's no waves in Miami, where do you go?
everywhere.
To a bar.
What about
JK, mom. JK.
paddle
My mom
boarding?
doesn't watch this.
Yeah,
Is that
paddleboarding,
like?
it's something to do.
Do you?
But I mean, that's one of the benefits of living down here, right? I mean, like,
tons
I
of
always
stuff
say,
to
like,
do.
if we had waves here all the time, like whatever places, our lineups would be so crowded, and people would just hate us and be like, "Oh, look, heaven on earth," you know. But we got, you know, God gives us beautiful women, beautiful beaches, and beautiful atmospheres. And he says, you know what, I'm not going to give you great waves. You're like, you know what, I'll just travel to Puerto
But,
Rico.
yeah, you can be
or
2 hour
Costa
flight
Rica.
from them.
Right. And it's
Or
not bad.
30 minutes if
Like,
you
I
go
feel like our
directions.
port town is better than most port towns in regards to being able to get to diverse different places. California, what do you have? You have Mexico and Hawaii. Sounds horrible. Not really. But
No, it's a
Nonetheless,
different
it's
thing
not
here.
South America.
It's a great jumping off place.
Right.
That's really what it comes down to. So to answer your question, it's a jumping off place to wherever's the cheapest with the best swell.
and if you're growing up
And
here
a
down
political situation isn't gonna like completely screw up everything.
where's
ruin
like
your
the
barbecue.
hottest place right now to go surfing?
The hottest place. I
What's trending?
Sayulita.
Yeah, like what's trending?
here,
Sayulita,
Sayulita's
Mexico.
in Mexico.
Oh, Mexico.
Yeah, Sayulita, Mexico's been blowing up. It's cool little town. It's got like this whole like Southern California hippie surf
Yep.
town, but in Mexico.
Right.
How do you
Better
get there?
food.
Like, do you have to fly to Mexico City and then take like a car,
No,
or
then you go to Mexico. Well, fly to Mexico City, take a transfer, and go to Puerto Vallarta by plane.
Right.
and then
Not a
by-
small plane. You
Oh,
can still take
plane.
another big
Yeah.
plane down to.
It's a connecting flight usually,
right.
and then it's like Sayulita's probably like an hour from the airport.
you've been?
Yep.
You've been?
Mm-hmm. It's trending so hot right now.
But I just saw it like just coming up like on a bunch of different like travel stuff. And
I
was
did.
Like, yeah, it's a cool place.
And it's beautiful.
Yeah,
It's awesome.
it's a great little surf town until someone screws it up.
Or drug dealers come to your town and just completely just take you for a hostage. But they don't.
Well, it's
do
just
that.
because you know.
Might
I
have
mean,
a
I'm
better
going
chance
to
of
segue probably
picking
into the
up
next topic here on this one, but
Let's do it.
there's like certain places that are really cool when like you and your friends go for the first time, and then if like their friends bring friends, that kind of suck a little, and then like the things change, and like you go for different reasons, and so if you can like sit at a bar with local folks and just get along and buy them a beer and like just talk like normal, but then like when the situation changes and you start to like try to like take advantage, like no, I'm on vacation, so you can serve me, local person. It's like, whoa, the situation's gonna start to change. And that happens in like all tourist destinations and definitely in surf places. One of those people that kind of just passed, who was like one of these like guys that brought it out in people is Anthony Bourdain. And so what the hell is going on? Why are these people that are so good at kind of showing you the brighter side having such like issues with their own mental health and eventually in his case committing suicide? It's a weird trend. I know it's a heavy topic, but
Yeah, but it's something that needs to be discussed. I mean, in
yeah,
a sense, just to maybe not make it as heavy because there's always been like this negative connotation to certain things that have to deal with mental awareness and mental health. Like right off the bat, you say mental whatever, you're like, oh, mental. It's negative. Oh,
Yeah.
you're bad. You're this, or you have a problem with you. And listen, we're all made out of chemicals in one way or another, and we all balance ourselves, and we all have a chemical imbalance or balance. We try to find things, whether it's the ocean or yoga or some sort of something to kind of help balance that out. And but I also think we're kind of limited to the understanding of what our world, each individual world, and that we're all made up of different variables, and we're all made up of different situations that have allowed for us to get to this point in our life that needs to be addressed. And more so that negative connotation, whether it's bipolar disorder that we discussed last week about Andy Irons and him being a professional surfer and things that he was dealing with, to everyday things that people have to deal with, like depression and anything else. Like, there's a lot more people, average people, popular people, that deal with this than we really kind of address. And so many times it seems like it's a situation where you kind of, most people don't talk about it because they're like, shh, you don't want to talk about that. Or you're made to feel as if you talk about it or you admit it, you're weak in one way or another.
That's why it's so shocking when things like this happen. People are like, oh my goodness, I can't believe. And they're like, maybe you should believe it a little bit. Maybe you should ask some other people around you if they're going through similar sorts of things, because it's not really as obscure as people would like to think that it is. And then the other thing, at least personally, as I've talked to different people about this thing, they're like, oh yeah, I had like a thing. I was really depressed for a little while, and I coped with it in these ways, or I got through it like this, or oh, actually I'm going through that right now, or actually last week was a really shitty week for me, or whatever it is. And you realize that we all are human. It just, you don't know what the next guy or girl is going through, like all the time, and you could take it for granted, I think.
It's true. I mean, I think we've all had some sort of example, whether it's personal within our own lives or a friend or, a family member, that you have to deal with that situation, and how you deal with it, how you respond to it is just as important as, how intense it's happening in their life. Like, for me, I feel like if we just all became a little bit softer to our neighbors, our friends, our family members, and just kind of understood that, there's so many different variables that are happening in each one of our lives that can, and it doesn't have to be that you have an actual chemical imbalance or that you're clinically considered this. It could happen. I know you and I had discussed a little bit earlier in regards to people snapping, that, at some point, things just kind of pile on, and life has a funny way of all of a sudden putting all these little things, and sometimes it's just the little things that if you pile a bunch of little things on top, it's one major thing. And most people be like, oh, as we've said before, and pull your bootstraps up, get back into it, shake it off.
The old shake it off. I wish it was that easy.
Right. And it's exactly that. Like, sometimes you just want to pull the covers over your face, and you want to kind of just be numb, and you kind of want to just be isolated away from what that problem is and dealing with it, because for just a few minutes or an hour or a day, it's gone. But then it's still there. And then if you don't feel like you have the opportunity, the ability to talk to other people about it or be vulnerable about it, then it's harder, and it becomes even more weight and even more of a problem. And I think a lot of it is if all of us that might not be going through that or have gone through that can kind of look at people and say, yeah, man, I totally get it. I'm like that, this and that. Other people will come out. Other people will talk about it. And who knows? In conversation at any given time in life, we discover things, and we find things out about other people, about ourselves, and that's that growth process.
Yeah, I think you're totally right about all that stuff. And, as an entrepreneur, I've noticed that it's kind of like a double-edged sword in a way. It's some of the things that make an entrepreneur so effective are some of the things that are really make their life so hard. And so when you have, I don't know, a different idea about how to do something, and then you have to go about going against the grain always, and you're not getting support, it can be really lonely.
Or even positive feedback.
Yeah, or just, or negative feedback, or
right.
just like, you get just the things that like pop out at you that you had no idea would pop out at you when you start to stick your neck out in just any which way.
You were talking earlier being some sort of influencer, and then people will snap onto something you didn't even know about, and all of a sudden you're getting this feedback for a thing you didn't know, like
That you
that's-
said or did
yeah,
or.
yeah. All these
Yeah.
people that we're talking about have those exact circumstances, but to so much even greater degree.
Are you
That
making the
has to
segue?
be-
I think you
no,
just made the segue.
You were making it earlier, and I was like, it's a little early. So, no, you were like
The connection with, I feel like if we were to all line up and be diagnosed, we would all have something. All of us have something, all of us, and at the same time, all of us are going through the same thing, just different paths and journeys. So all of us have had some sort of depression, all of us have had some sort of anxiety or broken heart or whatever. It's part of the human journey, and we need to stop ignoring that and stop thinking that we have to live a perfect life, because it does not exist. We are not perfect people. I myself have I've hit rock bottom twice in my life, and I am fortunate that I was surrounded the first time with family and friends that lifted me up, and then the second time it was friends, because I was embarrassed to say, hey, I'm going through this again. I feel like talking about things takes the weight off. Like, this is my problem. Okay, you're dealing with it. You're hoping it's gonna go away. It's not gonna go away. The moment that you speak it out loud is the moment that energy gets removed, and someone else is like, okay, it's fine.
Right.
You know, so
The ownership isn't just yours anymore.
Right,
Now it's someone else's takes ownership with it as well.
Because you can spiral down in your own thoughts and that weight. And the thing is that we need to recognize that we are all the same, and we're all experiencing things, the same thing, but different ways. You know, like, I may have been depressed at one point because of something, and you may have been depressed for something else,
Right.
but the feeling, the experience is the same thing.
It's still heavy.
Yeah.
It still hurts, and it's still shitty.
And the same thing that you said about being an entrepreneur, like the criticism, or when you're successful and feeling like you have to fulfill certain things, the same thing. I mean, me on my own, I've been criticized for 7 years, and it became something that I just started like ignoring, because it, you know, people will judge you on things that they
Right.
have no idea what your struggle has been to get to from point A to point B.
Judgment being a crucial word right there. You know, if people are so easily to pass judgment on each other, whether it's just jokingly or whether it's because they're being critical, or I find most times it's because of insecurities within themselves that people pass these judgments on, because it's a way for them to feel a little bit more superior than others, because maybe perhaps in their life someone was trying to be more superior to them. And it becomes this vicious cycle that we continue to some people continue to feed into and pass on, and this and that, and you know, and it's one of those where how does that cycle get broken? And I think the more that we discuss it, as like we're doing right now, and as people have, because this past week, not only just Anthony Bourdain, but we had Kate Spade also pass, you know, and locally we had, I mean, he didn't pass in the same manner nonetheless as far as suicide, but we've had people that have impacted our lives that were influencers that have passed, and what they do to us on our day-to-day life is important. And then at the same time, how we judge them, how we interpret. Like, because I can go ahead and look at Anthony Bourdain or Kate Spade and say, why would they kill themselves? They're rich, they're doing what they love, they're traveling, they got all these things, right? But I'm limited within the scope of what I know in my world and what I perceive of their world to say, that's crazy. Why would they even do that? But I don't know.
Just
I don't know what.
Because you said rich, and what was the other thing you said?
It's rich and they're doing what they love.
But the only thing that makes a person peaceful is peace.
Right, and some sort of balance.
Money will never get you there. All the external will not get you. It comes from within, and
Right.
that's the confusion is that we build these things like, oh, if I get this girl, if I have this money, if I have this car, if I have this house,
Right.
and then people
Just
will
keep chasing it.
You chase it, and it's all within.
It's a
you
bar
know?
that you never
Yeah.
get to, that always gets raised in front of you, or like if you're like Charlie Brown, it's like Charlie Brown and what's her name, Lucy, that steals
moving
it.
the football?
Right, she keeps moving the football. Like, I'm gonna get it this time, and it gets taken away. You're like, oh, it just ruins you nonetheless. But judgment, right? We all pass judgment relatively easy on the smallest level, the largest level, and I think maybe if we ease back on that, kind of take it back, and don't be so critical. Don't be so judgmental.
Criticism. So the people that lift you are at peace and happy, and the other people that criticize you are insecure. Because if you're gonna bring someone down, you're unhappy.
That's pretty black and white.
It's
Right.
true. It's energy. If the person's criticizing you, telling you whatever, they're not happy with themselves and they're deflecting. But the other person that's lifting you and concerned about your whatever is happy and really truly cares. It's a mind fuck.
It really is.
But it's true, and it's something that I learned the hard way, and I realized.
Yeah, people can bring you up or bring you down, and there's really no other third direction.
Right.
And pay attention to who's
So what
bringing
do you
you
do?
down.
I mean, as an individual, you try to go ahead and surround yourself around people that are positive energy, good people that are uplifting nonetheless, right? That helps in your overall well-being.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like when you were a kid, right? Your mom would be like, show me your friends and I'll show you who you are, so to speak.
True.
There's still that truth. It's just like if you surround yourself by people that are positive, people that are good things, people that are doing things, you can kind of bounce off that. We're all connected through energy in one way or another, and it transfers, whether it's negative or positive. So for me, it's like, well, what are you doing to go ahead and make sure that you surround yourself around people that are transferring the kind of energy that benefits you versus that negative energy. But sometimes
that's the next topic, is who influences who and what does it mean. So that's something you can do on a really small scale. Like I found that I just saw some studies about people saying hello. I think it was like rudest cities or something like that.
Oh yeah.
And of course, Miami came in way at the bottom.
Who was first? Do you
as
remember?
we aren't the rudest, or we are the rudest.
No, we're definitely the rudest.
All right. But one of.
The other day I said hello to someone. She just looked at me like.
Yeah, isn't that the weirdest thing? You're like,
I'm like,
did I say
feel
it
bad.
incorrectly?
I don't take it personal. I just laugh internally because I'm like,
Okay.
I feel bad for you because you're obviously in your minds, but.
I think it's just those are the moments that you can, on a very small scale, influence someone's day.
Yeah.
Good morning. Hello, good morning. Hold the door for someone. And you're like, if that's the first thing you do when you see someone else in your community is to open the door for them and say good morning. It's not a bad way to start the day, but I think people you're right.
Compliment them, yeah.
Oh gosh, if you compliment them, forget it. They'll be like, they want something. They're gonna
Right,
sell me
and that's the
something.
same. And I remember
It's
when I lived in
sad.
Hawaii, the energy was completely different. I remember I'd walk to work, and you'd have an older auntie kind of walking by in her moo, and she'll smile at you and be like, "Aloha," and you're like, "Aloha," and you're like, "Oh my," you got.
Yeah, and then you're like
you get a positive lifted you, and then I was working at a smoothie and juice bar, and all of a sudden people come by, I'm like, "Oh, what's up?" But it carried over into me, where all of a sudden I transferred the aloha and the happy spirits, and they took it and they take it somewhere else, and I feel like it's in the island, like it's in the air, like the energy is there. It is. There's so much of them share it that it becomes just an energy a haze that flows around there. And then sometimes the challenge of Miami is that you have so many different cultures and you have so many different people, and then sometimes it becomes real lonely in this town where it's just like
Smiling's
you do
pretty
exactly
universal.
that. You smile or you say what's up to somebody, and they're just like, what's wrong with you? Like you're weird or you want something.
Or the road rage is crazy in this
I mean, there are
city.
really bad drivers though, and the Uber people don't.
How
get me started.
would
I
you
can't.
influence somebody in a
Can't.
driving situation to do the right thing?
You-
Start waving people in and merges, be like, go for it. You get shot, I think, in Miami. They'd be like,
Yeah, absolutely.
"This
So
guy
the
is
person
trying
behind
to
you is
help
pissed.
people.
I know,
I'm
I'd
gonna-
honk.
I'm gonna kill him." You're like, what?
You gotta be kind to each other.
So, I mean, influences in this section, Anthony Bourdain, Kate Spade, they influenced a lot of people.
Yeah, I
And
mean,
and so many, and today, and just opening up your Instagram, your Facebook, and stuff like that, especially for Anthony Bourdain, he had so much influence to people, whether it was he met them or was that people related to him. I think a lot of that was the fact that he just had this blue collar personality and attitude where he was just relatable. He was the guy that you could go and just have a random drink with, and you could have a random drink at the Deuce with him, or you could have a random drink over at the Edition with him.
But
And
he was a drug addict.
What,
I
former?
feel like, but there's a lot of Band-Aids that have been put on, and I feel like something just
Snapped within him.
yeah.
I mean,
Yeah,
there's a
I
lot of.
feel
but I
like
feel like
if
there's a
you
lot of
could-
pressure at his level. I mean, there's a lot of pressure
What's
at
the
being.
the pressure's within. He chose that path for a reason.
Right. I mean, it's a deal with the devil, right? I mean, in a sense, a little bit. You're just like fame and fortune and money and everything that comes with it. But then there's a pressure of what you're doing.
But
Like
being
people might be listening to him.
But being a workaholic, so he had different methods of dealing with things. So he'd be drugs, alcohol, women, whatever, and then work is another way of putting a band-aid on
Right.
and not, so you're ignoring until you have your, I don't know him, I can't speak for him, but I do know that there's different ways of concealing things and not dealing with stuff, and it's keeping your mind busy with whatever it is.
It's true. I mean,
So you don't have
purpose.
to think because you don't want to feel, and that's the problem with society. They don't want to feel, and the answer.
But what happens when the feelings become too great, right? I mean, going back to Andy Irons and last week and his bipolar, and a lot of times his chemical imbalance was treated with, chemicals like drugs that he was trying to balance. And a lot of it was there was this pressure that he had to be and perform and at that level, and he kind of just wanted to be himself, or he didn't know how to completely deal with it or take it all in. And sometimes someone like Anthony Bourdain, a former addict, and maybe finding different ways of being able to deal with it, imagine that you have that pressure. You're internationally known. You've won all these awards, and every word that you say, people hang on. And at the same time, critique and this and that. Like, I know you get it, on
but
different levels.
I
It's got to be
wouldn't
tough.
say that was his thing. Like, I think there's some people he didn't come across as someone that would be shocked by fame. I think he would probably go into fame full knowing, yep, I'm getting more famous, and I'm still gonna do the same shit. I'm still gonna go to the same dive bars and have all the same demons, have all the same thoughts.
You don't think he felt a little pressure?
I feel like his schedule was crazy. I saw something about being around
Maybe.
but
I mean, we're speculating on someone's life that
We
really
personally
can't.
didn't know nonetheless.
So-
And we're, again, addressing this from the comfort of our own little worlds that aren't at that level, But again, he influenced so many people that they take it upon himself that the way that he was being and the way that he was cool to so many just random average people is something that people take away from it and want to apply that within their own lives to so many people, and that's important. Because
like a
obviously
precedent.
he left a positive influence enough for other people to go ahead and take and say, I want to spread that sort of influence as well.
I feel like we have a problem with our society and the fact that we do not incorporate wellness in our day-to-day.
Right.
I feel like wellness has always been looked at as a luxury
Right.
thing, or, women that stay home and then they pick up the kids, or who has time. Whereas being busy or having all this work is you're making it, you're successful, and that's not true. And I feel like we need to restructure and teach wellness from a very young age, meditation, and learning the power of disconnecting and balancing yourself. Because the Anthony Bourdain and Kate Spade are overachievers. You get there being a certain way. And I know because I was an overachiever, and I have to fight myself because you define yourself with success of getting an award or making money, and that is not success. Success is being balanced
Happiness.
and happiness.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, your health and being happy is the only thing that matters.
It's true. And I find that, at a surf shop, a lot of times people are like, dude, you're living the dream. You're a surf shop owner, this and that. It almost seems as if they imagine that I've got pina coladas and Mai Tais all day. And I'm just shooting shakas out to everybody. And it's hard. There's what goes on here, and then there's after hours. I could literally work all day here and then have hours of work to have to do at home and all that. But I literally get home, turn my phone on silent, I put it off to the side because it's family
Good.
time, because that time you don't gain back again, and it has to be, you physically have to do it. And sometimes I've got this fear that I might be missing out, FOMO, of things that might excel and benefit my company and push it, but it's just where does it stop? right? Because it's continuous. It's infinity of how much workload you can put upon yourself, right? Because if you're an achiever, if you're an overachiever, you're gonna go and take it. You're gonna be like, yes, possible. Yes, I can do it. You're a yes person in that sense. But you do have to be conscious and say, you know what? This is that, this is this, and that's this.
So what is the biggest currency for you? What has more weight? The money that we see as currency or time?
Time.
Time.
Because we don't
It's
you don't
true.
gain that back. You have the opportunity to make more or make less currency. And I guess you kind of have that with time as well. But currency.
He's talked himself
I
out.
know.
On the other hand, Chris,
So I'm gonna do a show all by myself where I talk and I answer.
it's a
And I
point
talk and I answer.
counterpoint with
I've got
Chris
a little buddy
and
down
Chris.
below that Caleb and I kind of put together.
gosh.
But no.
But isn't
Come
it
back
true?
to it. Like there's a
if
physical.
you had time, if you had more time to,
Things are falling. Go on. Sorry.
no more stop. Are you drinking?
No, that was a chair. That wasn't me.
Whose is
That's
this?
his.
Oh,
Not really. Go on.
go on.
You were saying.
if you had a decision to make, and you had all this money, like $1 million, and you had an hour, and you could have an hour to come back to Earth and do something, what would you choose? Time or money?
So if I have the money, is that for like endless amount of time?
No, they're.
Details.
Or do I get like 10 minutes with the
I know,
money
I go
and then
straight to
all,
the details.
or is it like an hour with time?
Let's just say 10 minutes with the money.
Or an hour with time.
And an hour with
I
time.
totally go time.
Does it include the mug?
That's important.
I want to be sure.
Because that's important.
That-
Oh,
we
it's
have
the same
everything
side.
here.
It's the same side. Okay.
No, time,
Time-
obviously. And I think
is-
it's.
Yeah, you
it's-
can't buy it.
You
Right.
cannot buy time. You can't buy love. All the things that matter, you can buy.
Right.
You can spread them.
You can spread them.
It's true. I mean, but at the end of the day, it's a matter of looking at your life again, considering that we all have different variables going on in our life. There can't be that broad stroke that says, hey, this is going to solve all your problems, right? You know, taking more time. I mean, that does help, but at the same time, look, how does that alleviate the stress that someone has and be like, how am I supposed to have more time? I've got to do this and I've got to pay these bills and I got to do this and whatever the case is, you know? But it is important that even if it's 10 minutes, create me time for at least 10 minutes to kind of unwind, whether it's to meditate, to be in the water, whether it's to hug a tree. I do it.
I do it too.
But, you know-
I swear I do
Or,
it.
or even as, you know, you tell a lot of people to go ahead and speak your intentions, you know, and kind of take those.
Manifesting.
Yeah, manifest whatever it is that you want. It doesn't have to be the, you know, the career, the success. Manifest that peace in your life. Manifest that 10 minutes of your day that says, I'm gonna kind of centralize a little bit and I'm gonna kind of block things out, take a deep breath, and then I'm gonna get back into the game. And I'm gonna keep pushing forward. I'm gonna leave it all in the field.
I feel like you have to look at life, and this might be a little bit deep, but the whole bills and the money, the currency, dude, we are energy. We came down here for an experience, and you have to separate yourself from those things. And you have to know that if you're going through something, it might be like a few months that seems like forever, but it's all changing. Everything, nothing lasts. Everything is changing, and that you have to stay focused and manifest what it is that you want. Because I have been there, and it's a roller coaster.
What
And you
helped?
have
I know
to
you
look-
said that there was friends and family kind of pulled it out. Was that it?
Well,
Was there? Do you remember that moment where
that's the thing
things
is-
changed?
Well,
Right, that's the thing that's most
No,
interesting to me is that you knew that you wanted to manifest something, but
A lot of people don't even know that.
Well, that's one part that's like know that you want to do something, and then once you go about to do it, it's like that's when the hard work starts, and that's when like all these like clingers on start to drag you down and have like detractors from your vision and all these things, because it's a brave statement. Whatever it is
Yeah.
that you're doing for yourself is like a brave statement for you, and no one can really, for whatever reason, it just seems that people have a very difficult time like allowing that to happen. And like Brandon, perfect example. There could be a lot of people that are like, oh, screw that guy, he's gonna stay in Bali. You're like, screw that guy. You say like, No, you should be so happy
Yeah,
for
Stop.
it's
him.
an
You're like living the dream. Like
opportunity
you
to
put yourself in that position,
Yeah.
you're like, that's
Yeah.
awesome.
So it's like it's the same like commentary on the same situation, but you just have
So
to flip
imagine
it.
imagine if he got the response that was completely different than what
Right.
I gave him. Imagine I was that pissed off boss. I'd be like, oh
Yeah.
man, you really, because I have agenda trade show coming up at the end of the month, and I'm going to Costa for a week, so it kind of throws a kink in the system.
Yeah.
Where I got to redo the schedule and this and that, and everyone's got to
It's
work a
work
little
for
bit
you.
more. Yeah, it's a little extra work, and I could be like, oh, you really screwed up my trip and this, and pass the blame and whatever. It just doesn't make me feel better. It's going to make him feel even worse. And what? And it's so what? So that it makes his whole time there even worse because now he's like, wow,
it.
I just let down somebody. Versus if you just transferred a different kind of energy where you said, dude, that's kind of amazing. How am I even going to be mad? Who would even be mad? You're 20 years old. You're off into paradise and you're getting a once in a lifetime kind of opportunity.
Right.
Do it. Live it up.
I think there's so many people that would just love to piss on that dream. They'd just be like, oh, you're going to do that? You're a dummy. Screw you. That's the worst idea.
Haters.
Bah, bah, bah. And you're like, he's 20 years old. He's doing exactly what he should be doing. Maybe you are a little
Didn't.
upset you
Right,
didn't
'cause-
do it or
right.
something because you sound awfully interested in tearing this kid down and what he's trying to do.
And there's a lot of people that are
So
just
silly.
bitter AF.
Yeah,
you
it's
know?
super weird. I
Because
think that's like
I feel like
another part of
I
it.
feel like they're living in a. I feel like we're programmed to be a certain way. Like, you
Sure,
have to have
society
this
does
job,
that.
and you
Yeah.
have to be married by a certain time, and you have to. And it's not. You could live your life the way that you want it to be, and Brandon.
Yep.
It's so crazy that that's his name. But he obviously manifested that.
He did.
And it came into his life, and that's an opportunity for a beautiful experience. And life is all about experience.
And a lot of that got manifested by him actually working here at the store. So
And talking
Why?
about
How
it
do
here.
you heard him say?
yeah, he
We
told me
all-
he's like,
yeah, we all
he's
knew
like
he was
this
gonna do it.
situation only happened because he worked in the store,
You
and that
see?
things happened along the way of people that he knew or people that he contacted in that process.
Wait.
And so we served that purpose in his life, and he saw manifested set intentions, and things started drawing in his direction. So for him, like I told him, I'm like, dude, as long as you keep your head on straight, you got your heart that's pure, and your intentions are, you're finding somewhat of your true north, just go with it. Just appreciate it all, because it's going to teach him so much, and it's going to give him so much that's going to be the foundation and the basis of who he is for the rest of his life, that is something that he gets to transfer to someone else down the road.
And you
you
can
know?
and you can always manifest no matter what age you are or what you want. It's true.
Listen, the only time you
I
can
have-
is when you're 6 feet under. And until then, just fucking keep trying. Right? You got a shot. You got a shot every day that you wake up. You're given that gift of breathing, right? You have an opportunity to change your day. We know that tomorrow is contingent on what you do today.
People don't take that pause though to understand they can do those things and like you said, I guess take the time to understand what they would like to manifest. And then there's, like we were also saying, so many detractors and stuff that would make you believe that what you thought was possible isn't.
Yeah, people
so it's
are
like
impatient too.
All this whole thing, like whatever Brandon was able to pull off, probably due to naivete and youth, is just like that's the kind of shit that you should be doing in your normal everyday life. I want to go to Bali. Why? Because a bunch of the old guys at the shop told me it's the thing that I need to do to go, like, I don't know, learn how to surf well, and like it's a thing you got to do. Okay, great. How am I going to do that? And next thing you know, he's like, I'm staying longer because I know all the guys at the shop would tell me I should stay longer. And
Right, and the opportunity just came up on the whim.
Yeah.
It wasn't as if he was looking for it. They were just like, you seem like a cool dude. You've got this great energy
he put
that
it
you're
out
sending.
there.
Right, he
That's
did.
what you
He
said.
really did.
And we put it out there for him.
Right. And
That's
that,
good vibes.
Right,
You're putting good vibes
and,
for him.
And that is kind of what we need to continue to do, right? As our brothers and sisters keepers, as those that we care for around us, whether it's friends and family, if we continue to put that vibe out for others that we're stoked on what they're doing, if others do that back to us, we can keep moving forward. And if we create a little vulnerability, a lot less judgment, and all of a sudden now we're all that much more open to the world around us, and that we're more honest with ourselves, and we're honest with other people, and we're able to kind of tackle these situations not as individuals but as a group and say, man, this is really kind of holding me down. Hey, you know what? That kind of held me down before. This is what I did to kind of do that. May not work for you because, again, there's different variables, but
That openness.
yeah,
gets
because then all of a
started.
sudden that person now starts to think, and they start to, and then all of a sudden maybe that thought brings them to somewhere else, and like, oh, maybe I should kind of think of that, and that's the whole point. That's the whole point, is to open your mind, is to talk about things so that maybe that light gets kicked on somewhere and somehow. With that, I'm gonna have some more tea.
I think we just ended this like 2 segments, 2 very heavy segments.
But it was necessary to talk about.
Yeah, no, I think we should be talking about it. It's
And we
just-
could
maybe-
continue to talk about it.
Maybe it's not our normal programming here,
No.
but it's
But
part
it's
of
been
it.
heavy. It's been a heavy week.
It's good.
Yeah,
It has been a
exactly,
heavy
and it's good to
week.
talk about all this stuff because, like we noted, this is all around us, and it's famous people. It's the guy that picks up your trash at your office. It's whatever, it's everybody around you. So be aware of it, and try to help, I guess, if you can. All right, so I'm not the king of the segues. That's Chris, but one thing that we wanted to get into, and we actually talk about an odd amount, is sort of like surf fashion and retail.
Well, we are part of a surf shop over here,
Yeah.
and it's something I do like to follow. And our guest this week is kind of a fashionista.
Yeah.
So,
Just
and we're jumping into the summer where we're coming into summer fashion. We know that we've discussed that we have swim week coming up soon. Anything hot right now? Like, what's trending?
I
can see
love the bodysuits that you were. Can I grab one?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh.
Amuse Society.
This is where I think you're supposed to go. Fashion
right.
show.
Fa-
Fashion
or
show.
full on, yeah. Full on,
Yeah, then we have the models come out,
Right.
just walking past.
maybe in July's version we'll have one of those. Actually, we
we
gotta,
could do that.
maybe we can kind of do and tie it in with our fashion show that we potentially do out of Division in Wynwood and whatnot. But
She's
we
picking
have
up way more than one
yeah.
item.
This is perfect. She's going straight into the whole fashion style. She's like, oh, I'm gonna pull this. I'm gonna pull this. I'm gonna discuss all this and what works and stuff. But
She really likes this fabric.
But
likes
I've noticed
this
on a surf shop level that full piece or one piece suits have been all the mode for quite some time. I've noticed that full pieces with cutouts on the side have been
So we're
even
gonna welcome
better.
Annie for eventually when we actually get this as an audio podcast. Annie just went off screen and came back with a few pieces.
Sorry. All right, so I really love this color, and I've seen this color in a few different brands, but I've not seen this cut. So why did you pick this for the store?
Well, I'd love to have the credit in saying I picked it, but Ishka and the team over at Saltwater Army, which is our local rep group that does Amuse Society, which is part of the Visla team, they picked it out for us. Although on Tuesday I'll be going to pick out, I'm going to take it upon myself. I'm going to start picking out women's fashions. Get out of here, ladies. But nonetheless,
love
I love the
this.
colorway you have.
this-
What
the
kind of green would you
cutouts.
say that is? Is that a sea green?
I think it is a sea green.
Love it.
And I love
Still
the
got it.
back
Still got
because
it.
it's not full coverage, so it makes your butt look better.
I've noticed a lot of swim, a
Smaller
lot of
backs
full,
make your butt
high,
look
like a
better.
high waisted and a high cuts.
Yeah.
I've noticed that on a lot of swim. That's not as high
Oh,
as they
it's on
go.
both sides.
Oh yeah,
Sexy.
but it'll get cute.
Super cute.
What else do we
Okay.
got?
Crowd pleaser.
I love bodysuits for like day to day. Like I have one on, and I think it's really cute with jeans and a jean skirt, jean shorts,
Does this say summer?
pants. Yeah, and I think this is
It does.
perfect for summer. And I love. Okay, so
Underwire.
I don't have big boobs, and I think this is really important for
For you
lifts.
guys out there.
For lifts, because it makes your boobs look perkier. And hello, it's a G-string, so it's easy to wear.
So, Brad, you can't wear
your
this one.
pants.
I know.
It's not quite my
Your
size.
pants
No,
or
I
jeans
don't
will
know if you
look
look good in
hot.
white.
It's not my color or size.
All right, I think I picked it in the same color because this is my favorite color.
Right. So same
like
style.
So what
Off
color
the
would you
thing.
call this?
This is like a
like-
mauve,
Almost like a periwinkle.
a
periwinkle's more of a
periwinkle,
blue.
lilac,
Right. It's like a
like a purplish
I
color.
like lilac.
like a
I like
lilac. I would
That was
go
a
with
good
a
one.
lilac.
I feel like this is good for me.
Okay.
It's like I'm fair skinned, so it makes me pop a little, right?
Ah,
Bring it up.
you're right. Fair skin. Got a little
All right.
cock to it.
What does that mean?
From
White,
that.
fair skin, purple
Certain
skin?
color.
I feel
colorways.
like we need color because it makes. I don't really get
And not bright
sun.
color, obviously, right? I mean, maybe a little more subtlety in it.
Sorry, I'll do any color. Well, I just need a little.
I mean, I'm just saying when you're fair skin. Right. What do you do? How do
Color
you pair
makes
that?
you pop.
Okay.
Like
and does that do you add some makeup in that whole situation to kind of make it pop?
I would wear
Because
it
the
like
fellas
this.
out here want to know.
Well, I've been listening to the guys on makeup actually.
What?
Yeah,
Okay.
less is more.
Less is
Usually-
more. You're
Keep
absolutely
dropping
right.
knowledge.
You know, you're
No,
right.
no,
and less
it's
is
true.
more.
Guys, this is the truth. So if there's women listening, I usually do like red lipstick or hot pink or whatever. But guys don't really like that. They like the more natural look. I don't know why, but that's the truth. The girls that are spending more time on makeup, guys don't really care about that. Is it not true?
There is some truth to that. I mean, I think the benefit that most women have that natural beauty built within themselves, that they can kind of just go with that. And most guys are just like, dude, I dig that.
What about lipstick, like red lipstick or hot pink?
That's cool.
Yeah, it's cool.
Maybe not to just watch a movie and have popcorn at home with, but if you're going out somewhere, and it goes with the thing, like if we're going to Flanagan's to get some food and we're kind of dressing down and you throw some red lipstick on, probably no bueno. You know, just because it's like, hey, we're just kind of dressing down in the situation, but we're going out into a place. It's like you want your chick to go ahead and just like, badang, whatever makes her, you know what, whatever makes her happy, whatever makes her
But what
feel
is
completely.
it more attractive for a guy?
I think
I think it depends on the
situational,
person.
Like you said,
Yeah, I think it
situational
depends
person,
on
yeah.
the person. I mean, because I think you could probably see the same person wearing lipstick or not wearing lipstick in different times and be like, both times you're hot.
Exactly.
You know?
And even to give you a situation before, be like, the old like Netflix popcorn at home thing. What if your chick just gets super decked out? You're like, damn, what the? Oh.
It's on, and all of a sudden you're like,
Yeah.
is Barry White on right now? Oh, I get it.
Okay, so you got all.
I see
dressed
what's
up.
going on. I see what you're
You got
doing
all
here.
dressed up to stay home.
Right.
That's cool.
Yeah.
All right.
I see what you're doing
So
here.
I don't think there's a right or wrong answer.
Right.
That's what I'm gonna go with.
Okay. What do you got
It's
next?
good to know. Well, I love florals, and florals are big for the season. And we're still doing. Well, I like this because you can tie it up.
Right. It's a tie in the
This
front.
is really cute. Actually, I can put it over my bodysuit.
Good thing the register's not closed yet. Cha-ching.
What the? So cute.
Oh, that is cool.
Oh, you have to tie it. You have to button it.
It's a button and a
I
tie.
feel like this is not my size.
Ah.
Oh.
Just in the case that the tie doesn't come around, you have a little.
Oye,
Clasp.
pero
Right.
esto está.
Oh, the baby.
It's long. Is this the same brand we were talking about?
Muse, yep.
Is this a local brand?
No, Muse is based out of California. The story behind Muse,
that's
Vizsla,
cute.
and DeBlanc, all owned under the same ownership, is the CEO and one of the owners is Paul Naldi. He used to run Billabong. Billabong for about 25 now.
You
they're
would
under
be,
the same
you would
roof.
be right now.
Yeah, I know. 25 years he ran Billabong, and at that point when they were having financial troubles, he stepped down to be able to go ahead and be part of a partnering company to buy them. It didn't work out. Billabong got bought by someone else, so he's like, you know what? Maybe I should just start my own brand. And he's
Oh,
kind
it's
of
his,
yeah, and so he's
Muse.
kind of killed it ever since then. Some of the great perks is that they are not publicly traded, so they have a lot of control of what their designs look like, of what their overall look is going to be like. And
Cool dudes.
yeah, we value that. I mean, like even
Like
this
them.
little resin front right here, Paul, the CEO of Vizsla, painted that himself.
Yeah.
And it's just like, oh, so the CEO actually was in his boxers. I don't know, Paul. I'm just kidding. I don't know if you were in boxers, but he painted these things and resin it
You
and
just
stuff
like
like
to
that.
think of it that way.
Oh, you know, Paul, I never think of you in your boxers. Don't let him fool you. But nonetheless, but it's organic. It's real. That is that stuff that we gravitated towards because you're like, dude, these are just some real dudes that are just kind of like really just
Yeah.
pouring their passion into what it is that they've done
They're-
for such a
they
long
are
time.
Into it.
Yeah, and they're
Super into
they're
it.
super creative. So we're stoked to have that partnership with them. Nonetheless,
I like it.
and it looks good.
I definitely do. It's
So-
impressive that a man makes this.
Well, I don't know if he made it himself.
He did make the resin front,
right.
but maybe not all the clothes.
He's got a design team, and there's
Okay,
probably one or
okay.
two women on there. But you know, the team is strong with the Muse. Mandy Fry, I don't know if you follow her or know her. She's kind of a big thing. She kind of helped start the Amuse program and kind of took it to where it's at, made it edgy, cool. She just recently left, but it seems like their stuff is still on point. So
Okay.
Super cool.
definitely check them out. Immune Society, Visla, and De Blanc.
So, what other fashion questions can we get into? Actually, going up to Island Water Sports the other day,
Yes.
it dawned on me that not all surf shops are the same. And so I started to kind of think about how I've been to, God, how many surf shops in my life.
Right.
And they're all different in some way or another. Like, some of them are like, oh, the kayaks in the back. You're like, wait, you got kayaks at the surf shop? And then other ones are like, we have dive gear in the front and then surf shops in the, and wait, what? Or some of them are like, yeah, there's not one brand that you'd recognize of the normal surf brands at this store. Or then you go like up to Island Water Sports and they got the old like glass sticker rack. And I'm like, holy cow, I can't believe this still exists.
Yeah, and up until recently, Chain went from carpeting to now tile flooring. He had carpeting.
So
He had carpeting for 30 years up
The
until
point
now.
of this whole thing is that like I've noticed surf shops seem to change town to town, and I imagine that the fashion probably does as well.
Well, at least
you
the
and I have
fashion
talked
that
about it.
I think the fashion that applies to any given area.
Like
obviously,
you
does-
showing up in flip flops and
Right.
jeans and like a t-shirt, and guys from California are like, "What are you wearing?"
I know, it
You're like,
really is.
the Florida winter
Why? What
uniform.
about California?
Well, because the guys in California have got like the Dickies pants that go down their knees with the tube top socks that go up to their knees,
Yeah.
and then all of a sudden we'll do that with Van like slides and have like a black T-shirt that's probably some musical band, and then have a hat that is kind of like straight edged and kind of be like this,
Yeah.
and then they're kind of cool and hard and tough, and you're just like, you do realize this has been the kind of the mode for a little while now, right?
That's the style now.
No, that's just the part of a.
In
It's not.
California?
It's part
I
of
want
a
some of
California
those.
style. It's not necessarily the California style.
Right. But that's the whole thing that I was trying to drive at, and maybe get some sort of input from you as to if you've seen like regional trends in fashion or in surf fashion. I mean, like definitely, I know like in like the difference between girls' bathing suits in Miami and New York.
Are the backs?
It's
Are they? I mean, do they get more conservative in other areas consistently straight through?
Well,
Like a conservative
there's a
back?
huge. I mean, like when people. I mean, right now I'm dressed very basic, but when I've met with other people, they're always telling me that I have a very Venice style, like Venice Beach
Mm-hmm.
style, which I don't know what that means, or like very New York. New
How
York.
could you be very New York and Venice Beach?
I don't know.
That
I
sounds
feel
really
like
hard.
it's different.
It's like, yeah, the punk
I feel like
shirt
it might
on with,
depend
like,
on my
sandals.
mood. I'm not Miami, only with certain things. But
Like her
I
accent.
do. I hate my accent. Try to sound more
Tremendo
American.
Juanita.
No, I feel like it always varies. It depends on what's going on. I feel like New York, even with makeup, they wear less
In New
than
York.
than what we do. I feel like we wear women. I can speak for women. Wear a lot of heels. New Yorkers more flats.
Yeah, because they have to walk more.
You have to walk
Everyone-
more, and
everyone
it's more
commutes
embraced,
by walk.
and also it's just different conversations going on.
I mean, people here get like dressed up to go to the market, like heels and
it's
all. Like
kinda
you're like, are you going to a club?
crazy.
Because you're going to supermarket.
It is
Yeah,
so
it's a little
nuts.
weird, and I feel like it also has to do with we have more of an influx of Hispanics, Latinos, or whatever,
Right.
which
That are naturally gaudy and over the top.
yeah.
I
And
concur.
like I'm
just
Cuban,
it.
but I feel like I'm more Americanized. I'm not like I don't. There's a definite.
You're not chonga, is what you're saying? Because there's
I
like
know,
Cuban
I have a
chonga
little,
or
I have
there's
a
like
little
Cuban
chonga
American.
in me. I have a little chonga in me
When those big earrings
I know.
come
Yeah, I
in.
was gonna say you got the wrong earrings on.
today, but I have my hoops.
Just like in the car, just like I got black
Well, I
lip
actually do
liner
have 'em in my
and
car.
hoops in the car
Wait.
just in case.
Have you seen my video?
She really
I
does.
have one like with the liner.
The chonga kit on. It's like one of the break glass in an emergency kind of stuff. It's like, oh my god, full on chonga party.
What? All right, my real question is: we all know that every area has its own style, but what is like the sexiest thing that a woman can wear?
Smile.
Really?
You're good.
Yeah, it's
Is
the first,
that-
it's
is
the
that
first thing
like
that came
a-
to mind.
Smile. Okay, well, And you?
Oh,
That's hard to back up. Sorry, Chris.
I know. I'm like, oh, he took the
Just say nothing.
right. He took the good guy one.
Nothing but a smile.
Right.
That's the best answer, probably.
Sexiest thing that a woman could wear, like a piece of clothing. I mean, I think whenever you leave, whenever there's that like subtle kind of nakedness where there's just like, whether it's like a side boob or an under boob kind of thing, where it's like, right, I'm just saying,
leaving a little bit.
right, like all of a sudden you're just like, okay, that's
For the
kind of hot, this
imagination.
and that, like you know, but you don't get to like, you don't want it all. You want to kind of just, you know, I mean, there's kind of there's that chase that's involved or whatever the case is. You kind of want to be intrigued. You don't want to be giving it all at the same time. So like, they kind of just like, you know, and I think more than anything else, just when a woman's just natural on their own, they're within their own element, they're comfortable within themselves. I think that's probably one of the more.
I think
sexy
one of the
ones.
ways that they do that sometimes that I've noticed is if they steal your clothes and then wear it
Right.
without asking, kind of thing.
Right.
And they just like walk out wearing your clothes. You're
Right.
like,
That's hot.
that's kind of hot. I don't
Right.
know why, but you kind of like took a liberty to steal something out of my closet or
And
something.
I think there's more of a mental aspect that comes into it because
Right.
there's exactly that. It's like, oh wow, you're kind of, you know, partaking in who I am, whether it's like you like my odor, or, you know, or you like my musk or my pheromones or just the way that it
It's
looks.
confidence too.
Right, right, and it's when it's one of those things where that person's taking not necessarily taking ownership of you, but there's like of like, you know, I'm trying to have a hard time figuring out whether it's vulnerability or whatever, but they're just
sharing something.
right. They're sharing that they're accepting you, I guess. They're kind of accepting you, and it's not in words, and it's a very subtle way.
But if your
It's just
t-shirt
what they're
walks
wearing.
out the door and never comes back,
Especially if it's a favorite
they weren't
t-shirt.
accepting you. They just like your t-shirt.
Right. Or they just got a stain on whatever
Yeah,
it is that they're
they're
wearing.
like-
They're like, listen, I can't walk home naked.
Is this really a Pumpkin Drublick t-shirt from NoFX from the original? I'm keeping this. You're like, what?
I have.
I guess.
I am
That's a real
guilty.
story?
No.
I've kept clothes from guys that I liked, but
And
See,
it's
there you
framed.
go.
And it's framed
I
in
just
her
wanted to-
in her,
I
in her
just-
apartment. Gentlemen, go by. If you're on her wall, pat yourself on the back.
I feel like there's only 3.
There's t-shirts and cassettes that are
But
missing.
there's only one that survived. The other ones I threw out because it didn't end well.
Who is that one? Stay
Oh,
tuned for
he
next
has a
week, and we
girlfriend.
might
I
tell
cannot.
you.
say.
Wow.
All right, stay tuned for another 3 more shows, and then we'll tell you. So we got a little cycle to go
Seriously,
through.
cliffhanger.
Can I ask?
good. You're such a
can
great
I-
producer.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
Is this general or PG-13?
You know, I think everyone went to sleep already.
PG-13, bordering on R.
All right.
It's internet. They don't.
All right,
have
all right.
ratings.
I have a question because this is something that was told to me and it always stayed in my head. If a woman wears a dress or a skirt, does that mean that she's DTF?
What?
Do we need an example of what
Is that
DTF is?
like-
Do you want to know what
I'm just
DTF is?
Because
Because
I
It'd be
was
so easy to
always
stand outside a dressing room where they're like, "You're gonna put on that dress? Fantastic."
You must be DTF.
no
They
seriously.
just keep putting on
Downtown
dresses.
Fort Lauderdale.
I
I don't get it.
I have been told this by different guys, so I was always like, man,
And sometimes
I feel
sometimes you might
like-
want to consider the source.
This is very confusing information.
Well, I mean, listen, it's something
and
that
the
she's
guy. No, actually, people that you know said it.
okay. That if you're wearing a dress, you're
The
DTF.
girl wants to like, yeah, she's DTF.
She wants to get down.
Yeah.
I don't know. I honestly,
I can
I don't
say
think
this.
I've ever had that thought of a woman if she's wearing a dress to be like, yeah.
And
That was really loud.
And
I'm
in
sorry.
my research, the down
Okay,
to
let me ears.
has not been either dress or bathing suit
Right.
or
It's moment,
it
it's
has-
situation,
It
it's-
has not been determined by dress code.
Right.
Is I guess what I'm trying to say.
It's whatever.
Yeah, that's a.
Attitude, personality, charisma, energies, that.
Yeah, but
I
is
mean,
she
what's your opinion?
sending
Is it?
that signal?
Well, that's
that
a different
she's
story.
DTF?
But I think
Like,
she's
do you
DTF whether
see,
she's got
like,
pants
girl-
on or
Yeah,
a skirt
exactly.
on or a
That's
dress
what I
on.
mean.
Yeah, but
like if
if
she's throwing
you're-
out that kind of signals, you're like,
It-
you're DTF irregardless.
Yeah, but if you're half naked, aren't you like provoking?
Go to the beach. Does that mean everybody that's
No,
in a
no,
bathing
no.
suit?
But the beach is different. I'm saying at night.
So is that the same with a guy that's wearing the deep V-neck and he's got the muscle tee on and he's showing his muscles and he's
Every
got some really
guy is DTF. Every guy is DTF.
It's hard to
How
argue
is
against
that
that.
even a
'cause-
question?
Right.
That's easy. Who is not?
That's been outlined by comedians for hundreds of years.
Right, easily. Yeah, you know what? I stand correct.
Okay. so-
Actually, I went on a date once with a guy that had been celibate,
For how long?
and he wanted to kiss me that night. So
I'm-
it was
I'm-
over that night.
I'm saying.
So he was DTF,
I think
but
that was just a blind.
it was a trick, right?
And that,
I didn't
and
fall
that in
for
a
it.
sense
I
is
didn't
another.
kiss him.
That
I
could
didn't
almost
kiss
be
him.
another
I
show.
knew it.
That's a
I
good.
knew it.
That's a good line.
I had a
actually.
feeling it was a trick.
Yeah. No,
I
because
knew
I
it.
mean, look,
I haven't been
scarcity,
with
the whole
anybody
thing.
in
Like, look,
years.
I haven't been with anybody in
was a
years,
liar.
so I just want to let you know that it's not gonna happen. And then all of
Right.
a sudden they're like, not gonna happen. I'll show you not gonna happen.
Right, right. Because
No, I
I
didn't
call
fall
that playing
for it.
hot chick. Like
Oh,
all of
yeah.
a sudden you're kind of just be like, no.
Yeah. I call
And
it.
it's like you're chumming the water,
I call
throwing
it-
bait in there. You're like,
It's the takeaway move. You do the same thing with the negotiations. You'd be like, how much you want for that? $50. Get the. And you just walk
You
away.
walk away,
And they're
no.
like, no, my friend, special price today, only for you. And you're like, I'm still walking away until it drops to what I would have paid.
right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
it's
think
good.
that's the thing.
Should we have a separate show eventually? Maybe should we start a new one that's like a full-on dating show? Where you're
Yeah.
like, hey,
Yeah.
Way
guys.
more viewers.
Oh, easily.
I want
that's
to do it. I want to do it. Like a Tinder, so I can go out on dates.
Right, we can
Let's
pimp
do
her out
it.
every show and just be
That's
like,
a totally
gentlemen,
different
throw
show.
stuff in
I'm
here.
scared to be on Tinder.
Wait, so
I
you're
feel like we
pitching
should.
a show that's just so that you can get dates.
I
So
feel
you're
like
Chuck
we
Woolery
no, but I
is
feel like we
basically how
should
this is
get
gonna go.
different girls. Like
we're not
we'll
paying,
do the
so.
we'll do the show
Love
and we'll
connection.
do the questions and then we'll bring in single girls.
Love connection.
And
Right,
men.
I was gonna say like Chuck
And
Woolery.
men.
Woolery.
Let's do it.
Woolery.
You know what? It's really hard in Miami to meet guys. I'm not gonna lie. Half the guys that I meet that I'm like, okay, I could do, are in different states. So I'm down to do it, whatever it takes.
Okay, but I mean,
Caleb,
do
sounds
we
like
have?
we've got a whole other show to start programming.
I mean, looks like we're going on twice a week, everyone. Or maybe we have a once-a-month show that's specifically on like the dating
and then
show.
we just take the lighting down a little and do the next
And
one.
throw some
And then-
Barry White in the background, and all of a sudden you're like, all right, let the people in, and also that's where our live studio audience comes from.
And then we can report on the dates. on how they
Oh, like that's a whole
I'll
other
do
thing.
live. I'll do like a live, like secret.
So we can
Yes.
like follow people to their dates.
Yes,
And be like,
we get the kind of the glasses out, the camera that's attached to it as well, and she kind of wears
looks
it.
like he may be sweating.
Is he coming in for a kiss? He's coming in for a kiss. And then we have like an earpiece in you, and all of a sudden you're just like,
Tell
oh,
me what to do.
you're right.
Please
Kind of like that TV show with the comedians and stuff like that, where they talk to each other. and
pull out
stuff.
the chair for her. Pull out the chair. Pull up. Not your chair. Her. Oh.
And then you're talking to her, you're like, all right, pick your nose now. Let's see if he really likes you.
Wow.
So
You're like,
I've
you're
been
going a whole
locked.
different
That is
direction.
Let's see if he's real. True love.
True love.
First date.
First date. True love.
That could be the name of the TV show.
That sounds like a pretty
the
good
show.
show.
First date, true love. We're on to something, people. This is what we do. We make magic happen.
Yeah.
We make things happen, and
It's
we
all
know, we
happening.
might spin off other shows. This was a good
Because
one.
this has been so successful so far.
The show or this
Yeah,
overall?
No, overall the show.
Absolutely. I mean, Lagunitas wants to throw us beer.
Ooh,
That's huge.
that's the best
Dude, I
beer
will take that as a pat
ever.
on my back all day.
Where's the Lagunitas?
So they haven't started yet with that sponsorship, but
love
maybe next
Lagunitas.
time
Well,
we
like we're
might see
talking,
bars
we're-
behind us.
We are manifesting.
Yes,
Oh my
we're projecting.
God.
Actually, though, they did reach out to Brad and say, "Here, you want some beer?" But it could have been just a local guy who was like, "I'll buy you a 6-pack." But it was close.
Yeah, it was
A little more than that. All right. Well, you know what? Maybe sponsorship work will kind of happen down the road. We'll see how it goes. But I feel like this show was kind of enlightening a little bit, you know. And
It was good, it was
we
good.
lifted it up towards the end. I know that was one of your fears
Yeah.
in regards that we were going
Well,
to.
there's a lot to talk about, and
It's a heavy subject.
Oh,
So
it was
the subject-
yeah,
that
it
all of a sudden we're going to
started
kind of
off
keep it
heavy.
heavy all straight through. But
I think it was
kinda-
mostly because I've been dealing with this like all since that last one.
Right.
And there's just been more and more stuff happening, and you're just like, gosh, I wish people were just a little bit more aware of it. And then we got into it. We had like a whole pre-show show. We talked about it, and I was like, okay.
Shit, I talked about it all day today. Like from Rudy that was here, and then Bianca that was here, and literally probably consumed at least 4 or 5 hours of my day today, because you know not only is it fresh because of what happened in this last week, but it's you know, it's
Those are people who are creators that also understand like very well what it means to go through these sort of cycles.
right. And
You're like,
and I think
it's gonna happen. Oh, the deal fell through.
Right.
My life is that. Oh, it's terrible. It's
Right.
like in minutes sometimes. You're like,
Right.
how do you?
And it's important for all of us to recognize that at whatever level you're at, whether you're an influencer or whether you're a shop guy, you know, you're anybody. It happens, and it kind of kicks your ass sometimes. And you know, you need to have the ability to kind of talk to friends and family, and those people need to be open and supportive enough to be like, it's cool, lay it on me. How do we? We're all in this together. We really are, and we all have to put forth those energies and manifest our futures and our destinies and do it together, because I want to see us all be around for a while.
If like someone does come forward to you and say like something like, hey, you know, I'm thinking, like, take them seriously. Don't shirk it off and be like,
Pull your bootstraps up.
Yeah, pull your
God.
bootstraps up. You're just being a wimp. You're like,
Because that's part of it too, right?
No, it's
Even
hard.
as men, you're kind of brought up to believe that you can't cry, you can't this, you can't show any pain or whatever. You've got to take it all upon yourself, and that weight is heavy sometimes.
Yeah,
you know, if you can't express yourself in a certain way. So, you know, let's all just
I think you said it really well before. Just kind of be kinder to each other.
right,
Kind
a
of
little
soften up a
softer,
little bit.
right.
It's a good way to be. So I think we
We
in the
did it.
books.
I think we did it.
Good.
Episode 21.
21.
Episode 21. June 8th in the books. Annie, thanks for being
Thank
here.
you.
Annie
Christian,
Vazquez, the fashion poet. Annie the alchemist. Christian
Check her out.
Iglesia.
Google her. Put her on the Instagram.
She throws out some amazing stuff. Honestly, on Annie the Alchemist, she kind of throws some great
Oh, thank
self-help
you.
stuff that kind of gets you through it. And it's, again, just the little things of positive affirmations that if you just open up, you never know how it resonates. And I've noticed that a couple things that you'll post also resonate with me, that all of a sudden it's just like, you're right, this, whether it's stuff that you know already and it just reaffirms it, or it's stuff that kind of makes you kind of think a little bit different, take it. Appreciate it, chew on it, spread it with other people, share it. Let's do this.
Caleb, thank you.
Thanks, Caleb.
Thanks for keeping us on the
you.
straight and narrow today. I feel like you kind of kept us in the guardrails.
Do what I can.
Ooh, excuse me. I guess that's it. We're
Shut
out.
it down.
We'll see you next week and the week after that and the week after that. And
And maybe I'll be wearing this.
we won't be seeing you then. Maybe just hearing. We're going to pipe him in from wherever he is wearing that, I guess.
Yeah, nobody wants to
Weird.
see that.
Yeah. Whatever you're into, though. Seriously. Catch you guys later.
There you go.